Well, hi everyone, and welcome to our fourth VidaLive, where today we are focusing on short-term mission trips. We are so glad that you have joined us. My name is Kristen, and I'm part of the Impact Ministries team. And again, it's so great to see so many familiar faces on this call today. Part of my role with Impact is to oversee the Canadian teams who come to Guatemala to help plan and organize that here in North America. We're also joined today by Mel Jackson, and she's the team's coordinator for the US. And so she works with US teams, and I work with the Canadian teams who come to Guatemala. So if you've ever wondered about what a mission trip looks like, or the people who you'll be working with and interacting with, or if you've just ever had any questions or interest about coming to Guatemala, you're definitely on the right Zoom call today. And for all of those who have had the opportunity to come in the past, you are going to get to hear from some familiar faces. You're going to get to see one of our locations that you may have spent some time in. So we're just really excited for this next little bit to just get to share with you guys about short-term mission trips. So today we are joined by Julie and Julio, and they are our directors of hospitality in Guatemala. So they're live here joining us from Guatemala, and today we're going to hear a bit of their story, of what they do with Impact Ministries, and of course about short-term mission trips. So without further ado, I'm going to hand it over to Julie, who is joining us. And Julie, why don't you introduce yourself, let us know where you are, and a little bit about your role with Impact Ministries.
Hi everyone, my name is Julie Sawatsky, and this is my husband Julio. Right now we are located in the guest house in the Chisac property. This is where we host teams. We have all of our rooms right here behind us. The courtyard, you can't really see that very much, but this is where we've been missing all of you during this time in which we haven't been receiving teams. And so our role with Impact Ministries is as my husband is the director of the area of hospitality, and we work together to coordinate this. So I'm going to let him explain a little bit about what his role in the ministry is.
Hola a todos, hermanos.
Hello, everyone, brothers and sisters.
Es bueno poderlos ver, algunos.
It's good to see some of you.
Pues estamos en un lugar que tal vez muchos reconocen.
We're here in a place in which many of you probably recognize.
Y nos sentimos alegres de poder compartir esta tarde.
And we're very joyful to be able to spend this afternoon with you.
Julie y yo trabajamos en el área de las visitas que vienen aquí a Tactic.
Julie and I work in this area of the ministry which serves the teams and the visitors that come to Tactic.
Y planificamos y trabajamos con cada grupo los 10 días en este lugar y en los diferentes colegios.
We plan and we work with the teams who come here for the 10 days while they're here.
Y pasamos mucho tiempo juntos compartiendo.
We spend time with them and we share.
Y teniendo risas, momentos también de comunión en el Señor.
Sharing lots of laughs and just communion and community with the Lord.
Y eso es lo que Julie y yo hacemos. Julie planifica, ella está siempre en contacto con.
This is what Julie and I do. Julie plans and she's in communication with the North American offices.
Y yo soy el que trabaja en el campo con otros hermanos aquí.
And I'm the one who works here on the ground, doing lots of the physical work with our Guatemalan team.
Ese es nuestro rol aquí en el ministerio.
This is our role with Impact Ministries.
So Julie and Julio, do you guys want to share how you got involved with Impact, really how that all started?
Bien, yo me involucré desde que tal vez tenía 10 años.
I got involved when I was maybe 10 years old.
Que empecé a estudiar en uno de estos colegios.
I began to study in one of our schools,
Y al terminar mi grado de tercero,
and when I finished grade 10,
yo necesitaba estudiar para ser maestro.
I needed to study to become a teacher.
Entonces me fui
And so I left.
y cuando ya era maestro,
And when I had graduated as a teacher,
regresé al ministerio ya a trabajar.
I returned to the ministry to work.
Y desde ese tiempo hasta el día de hoy he estado sirviendo en este lugar.
Since that time until now, I've been serving here in this place.
Empecé como maestro,
I began as a teacher.
luego estuve como director,
Later, I worked as a principal.
luego trabajé un tiempo como en administración de los colegios.
After that, I worked for a time in the school administration.
Y estos últimos 6 años en el área de grupos.
And these past 6 years in the area of teams,
Que ha sido muy bonito.
which it's been a very beautiful thing.
Porque cabalmente Julie entiende el área norteamericana y yo acá en Guatemala.
Because Julie understands the North American side of things, and I'm able to understand the Guatemalan side.
En eso estamos.
And so that's where I'm at. I got involved with Impact Ministries through my school. I grew up in a Christian school and had the opportunity of coming down to serve here on a team when I was in grade 10, and again when I was in grade 12. And when I was here in grade 12, Lesson Rita invited me to come and to tutor their kids. And so I graduated high school and I came down to tutor their kids, and apart from 1 year, I've been here ever since, working in different areas, mostly in administration and computer work and office stuff. But it's our joy and pleasure to be serving in teams right now.
Awesome. So we know that lots of different teams come down. We know it's been quiet the last couple of years, but do you want to just tell us a bit about what happens when teams come down? What's a typical, 10 or 11 day trip? What are some of the things that teams are involved in?
When we host a regular team here, we have a number of activities which we usually have in the calendar. So we do children's ministry, we do some work projects, we do home visits, we visit our schools, and we are able to facilitate sponsorship visits. So when sponsors come down and have children, they have sponsored children that work in our programs, we're able to visit them in their homes, take them a gift, and allow them to meet each other and get to know each other. We often, or in the past, we would take teams to the hospital where we would pray with the children in the pediatric ward. That's something that we haven't been doing and will not continue doing until life is a little bit more normal again. We do evangelism. Those are the things that we do on a normal team. Now, there are some teams that don't really classify as a regular team. And so in the past, we've had mechanics teams that come down and work on our vehicles. That's always been a blessing. And so that changes things up. They wouldn't do children's ministry, and they wouldn't do different work projects, but they would spend most of their time in the shop. We have medical teams, and they spend most of their time in the medical clinic. Sometimes here in Tactique, we have a physical clinic, and that's where we host some of our medical teams. Sometimes if we have larger medical teams, we'll take them out into our outlying schools, where we're able to reach more people who don't have access to healthcare. And so those are a few types of the non-regular teams that we have.
So what does it mean to you guys when a team comes down from North America?
Pues para mí, cuando un grupo viene, es una alegría.
For me, when a team comes, it means joy.
Desde que los miro en el aeropuerto,
Ever since I see them in the airport,
ya estoy pensando en los 10 días que vamos a pasar juntos.
I'm thinking about the 10 days that we're going to spend together.
Y ya estoy también viendo la alegría que traen a muchas vidas.
And I'm envisioning the joy that they bring to so many lives.
Y todo ese tiempo, los 10 días que estamos juntos,
And all of this time, the 10 days that we spent together,
cada grupo es de mucha bendición para el pueblo de Tactic.
every team is a huge blessing for the people in Tactic.
Awesome. And what about you, Julie? What about you? What do you get from a team coming?
It's exciting for me when teams come, and one of the most impactful parts in my perspective is just watching the children, watching the way their eyes light up, watching the way they look up and think, wow, this guy must be like Jesus, because we're bigger than the Guatemalans are, and so especially some of the big guys, they just they remind the kids of just a big God and big hope. And we've heard them say so many times, if these people come here from halfway around the world to see me, to smile at me, to give me a hug, like that's not something of their own accord. That's because God sent them, and God then has not forgotten about us. And that's what impact teams mean to me.
And you may have just answered this question, but you can both answer this as well. But a highlight for you, what's, Julie, I know you kind of just shared that, and that for sure is a highlight, but is there something else that really has been a highlight over the years when a team has come to visit and to work alongside you guys in Guatemala?
Bueno, hace ratos mencioné que es una alegría tener a cada grupo.
A minute ago, I mentioned that it's a joy to have a team here.
Porque para los niños muestra esperanza para muchos de ellos.
Because to the children, it shows hope to so many of them.
Algunos de ustedes saben,
Some of you know,
hay niños que no tienen papás
there are children in our programs who don't have a dad or a mom,
y cuando viene un grupo,
and when a team comes,
llena mucho su corazón.
it really fills their hearts.
Y es algo maravilloso ver esa alegría de los niños.
And it's a wonderful thing to see that that joy in the eyes of the children.
Pero lo que resalta en mí la venida de los grupos
But what really is a highlight for me in the coming of the teams
es cuando tenemos nuestra última reunión
is when we have our last meeting.
y el Espíritu Santo viene
The Holy Spirit comes
y toca nuestras vidas.
and He touches our hearts.
Y pasan horas,
And we spend hours.
nos sentimos
We don't feel them go by. Time just flies.
porque estamos todos en el Espíritu adorando al Señor.
Because we're together in spirit, worshiping the Lord.
Siempre es algo que nosotros los que servimos estamos así, esperando ese momento maravilloso como hermanos.
That's something that we, as our team here that serves the North American teams, are just anticipate. Just spending that time together in communion and with the Spirit of the Lord just moving in our midst.
Porque tenemos solo un Dios
Because we have one God,
y es el Dios que está en Canadá y el Dios que está con nosotros.
the God who is in Canada, United States, and here with us.
Y qué bonito ver cuando estamos juntos.
And it's so beautiful to see when we're together,
Y viene el Espíritu Santo
the Holy Spirit comes
y nos toca.
and He touches us.
Yeah, I love that. And
Mhm.
I was just going to say, it's so, even for some of us who have been on trips before and part of teams, I know that final night really just means a lot. And kind of thinking back to the last 10 days and knowing how much God has moved and shown us. And I think that I love that that was a highlight, even for you guys on that end, because I think it's definitely a highlight for teams when they come. And that's what we hear, that those evening debriefs are such a good opportunity to continue to see God at work. So Julie, what about you? A highlight for you?
A highlight for me is just being able to witness the work that God is doing. The unique position in which we are able to see both what's happening here in Guatemala, but also what's happening in the lives of team members is really something that's very much a privilege. Seeing people, young people and adults coming here to serve and to bless others, but we see them touched in such a way and impacted for the things of God that it just it's just a beautiful thing to be able to witness and to be able to facilitate in having them come here and just see God at work. It's something that impacts their lives and they're able to take that home as well. And I feel like that's one of the things that really is a highlight for me.
That's awesome. So we know kind of this past year, we really haven't been able to have teams go to Guatemala, but is there something that you're really looking forward to? I know that 2022, we have some teams scheduled. We know that we're kind of beginning to ease our way back into that, but is there something you're really looking forward to with teams coming back?
Que se termine la pandemia, quisiera.
That the pandemic would end. That's what I'm waiting for, hoping for.
Y que otra vez volvamos y podamos tener ese tiempo juntos.
And that once again we'd be able to be together and have and share time together again.
Yo le contaba a Julie ayer.
I was telling Julie yesterday.
Los buses que tenemos del ministerio.
The ministry vehicles.
Pues casi solo los usamos para grupos.
We have some vans that we use mostly just for teams.
Y estos días yo he estado yendo a los colegios en uno de ellos.
And these days I've been going to the schools in one of the vans.
Pero cuando entro a la comunidad,
but when I drive into the community,
algunos niños están en sus casas o así en las montañas.
We see some children that we know in the streets or in the mountains.
Y empiezan a decir, gringos, gringos.
And I hear them saying, gringos, gringos, which is like white people, white people.
Y empiezan a algunos a correr.
And some of them start like running.
Y a veces pues, solo yo estoy ahí.
And I mean, it's just me.
Pero hay bastante, tal vez, no sé si decirlo, ansiedad.
But there's so much, and I don't know if just like anxiousness. I don't know if that's the right way to say it, but
que los hermanos vuelvan.
That brothers and sisters come back.
Y podamos convivir otra vez.
And that we can spend time together again.
Y servir al Señor.
And serve the Lord.
Para mí que soy de acá, de Tactic.
For me, being from Tactic,
es un privilegio.
It's a privilege.
Poder servir al Señor.
To be able to serve the Lord.
Junto con los grupos.
Together with the teams.
A mi gente.
To serving my people.
Es lo que más quisiéramos.
And that's what we desire most, is to be able to do that again.
Well, I just want to say thank you so much to both of you, not only for being a part of this tonight, but just for the work that you guys do. I know Impact Trips would not be possible without you and all the preparation that's done on the ground there. And we are so grateful for your hearts for the ministry and for all you guys do. We know that, it's definitely a passion of yours. And we know that you are so eager to start welcoming teams back, as we are so eager to start sending teams back. So just thank you for who you guys are and for all that you do. So we're going to jump into a Q&A part of this event. So if there's any questions that you guys have for Julie and Julio, you can write them in the chat. So if you just go to the bottom of the screen, you can open the chat and write them there. And this is just a chance to ask them questions. You can ask myself or Mel as Teams coordinator questions if you have any of those. So please don't hesitate to ask. And yeah, we'll spend the next few minutes just answering some questions that you have.
This is Greg Johnson, Illinois. Hopefully you're expecting a team next week.
Yes, we are expecting a team next week.
Okay.
We have actually two teams coming in next week. We've got a team from the United States, which is coming to install a play center in the children's home, and they're going to be doing some work here. And we also have a team from the Billy Graham Foundation, and they're coming to give some workshops, which will prepare some of our staff to be able to better respond in crises. And so we're looking forward to being able to host these two teams. We also hosted a team in August, a medical team. And so this will be teams 2 and 3 since the pandemic.
I'm part of the first team with the, I don't know if you know Tim Olofsson. He's our leader from here, and we'll be there. We fly out on next Wednesday. So I think we'll arrive on Thursday.
We're looking forward to having you here.
Thanks.
All right, so we have a question here. What was the scariest thing that's happened during a team mission? Or maybe.
Just give us a second.
And if you want to think about that one, I have another one here too. So.
We had one lady on a team who she was a little bit elderly, and we were in a store, and she hurt her foot, like she sliced her foot open.
Pero gracias a Dios todo estuvo excelente, no pasaba más.
And we give thanks to God, nothing else happened. She was able to get home and get the treatment she needed, but a little medical emergency. We were a little bit afraid.
Mucha gente ese día también.
We had a lot of people here that day.
Tal vez no miedo, pero un poco de preocupación. Una muchacha que se nos enfermó.
And maybe not like a scary thing, but we were a little bit worried. We had a girl here who had some breathing issues. We had to take her to the hospital, and so things like that.
Sure. So another question came in. Just what's different about teams coming now that COVID's kind of affected?
Bueno, con su primer grupo del Dr. Chris.
Our first team, which was Dr. Chris, he's on this transmission as well.
Tal vez solo que todo el tiempo usamos gel y mascarilla.
Maybe the only different thing was that we used hand gel once in a while and masks when we were out.
Tal vez eso fue lo más diferente porque cuando fuimos a los colegios.
That was the only thing that was different, because when we went to the schools,
los niños siempre un abracito.
I mean, the children were still giving us hugs.
Y gracias a Dios todo bien.
And everything went well.
Awesome. So any other questions anyone has, feel free to just write that in the chat. And even if there was something that was a highlight for you, if you have been on a trip, maybe you want to write that in the chat too, and we'll read it out as well, whether it was something that you did when you were there, or one of your work projects. But again, if you have any questions, please just feel free to write them in the chat. So how has the pandemic affected the staff?
We had a number of people on staff who are not currently with us, but most of them have been absorbed into different areas of the ministry. So for those of you who have come down here, we've got Ugo. Ugo was one of our key staff members. He's been transferred over to the finance office in the ministry, so he's still on staff, but just not in our area right now. Edgar, he's working in the schools teaching English right now. And so Edwin was with us. He's working with Walter in construction, and so most of them have been placed in different areas so that they're not unemployed. They're just kind of changed positions, changed jobs.
So we have Jackie shared that her highlight is always watching God move in the team members in new and unusual ways. I love that. So you shared a little bit about how you guys are impacted when teams come down. How do you feel Guatemalans are impacted, like the community in Tactique? How do you feel it's impacted when teams come?
Can you repeat the question?
Yeah, so like as a community in Tactique, or even as the staff in the schools, or you kind of shared a bit of how some of the students are impacted, but what about the teachers and the rest of the staff at Impact? What's it mean to them for teams to come?
Pues yo me acuerdo otra vez el doctor Chris.
I remember it, and we're talking about Chris's team again, Dr. Chris's team.
Y el personal estaba muy contento.
Our staff was so happy to receive our team.
Y decían, gracias a Dios, una vez más tenemos un grupo.
And they were saying, oh, thanks be to God that once again we have a team here with us.
Siempre están muy contentos cuando llegan los grupos.
They're always really happy when teams show up.
Vez
But this time,
era el triple.
it was triple that.
Si quemaban un cohete, ahora quemaron 5.
Before, they'd maybe burn off 1 firecracker, so 1 roll of firecrackers. Now they were burning off 5.
We have another highlight here. Home visits are always a favorite time, and I know that's definitely, I'm sure, a highlight that you guys see in the team members too. And another highlight, visiting schools and children and working with them, visiting sponsored children again. I know that's always such a special time. Do you want to share, Julie, just a little bit about what that looks like when you go into a home?
Sure. When we have a home visit, on the planning side of things, what we do is we talk to the school staff, to the principal, and let the teacher know which child we're going to be visiting, and we as a team will go to the school if it's during school hours, and we'll pick up the child. Sometimes we'll have the teacher accompany us. Sometimes it's not necessary, and so we'll drive out to the area where the child's home is. Sometimes we're able to drive up to their house. Sometimes we have to hike for a little while before we get there, depending on their location. When we show up at their homes, we introduce ourselves, and we will introduce the sponsor to the parents and the family to the sponsor, and we'll just facilitate like a few questions back and forth, allow them to get to know each other a little bit. Usually the sponsors bring a gift or a care package, and so that's delivered to the family or to the child. We take time to pray, and lasts anywhere between maybe 15 minutes to half an hour before we drive the kid back to school and continue on with other visits or with the rest of our day.
Awesome. Another question here, how full is the schedule for next year? So I can answer that one. So we have pretty well from like March, April, May, those months are pretty open right now. As we get into the summer, June, July, August, those tend to fill up quite quickly. And then we do have a couple spots open in September and October. So if anyone is interested in taking a team down, whether you want to lead a team from your church or a team of friends or anything like that, you can definitely get in contact with myself or with Mel. And Mel, maybe if you want to write your email address in the chat, and then I'll get Sandra, maybe you can write my email in the chat. And if you have any questions about booking a team, you can get a hold of myself or Mel, but we definitely have some more room. So feel free to, reach out to us. We also have a sponsorship trip that is going to be happening in the summer in August of 2022. And this is a really cool chance because you'll get to spend some time with your sponsored child. During this, there'll be a couple different activities, but it's an open team. So people from all over North America will come together for the sponsorship trip. So that's in August, just something to keep an eye on as well. So I think we're going to end this portion of our VidaLive. And again, we just want to say thank you so much for just being a part of this, for coming on, for taking time out of your day, and just for getting to hear a little bit more about short-term mission trips to Guatemala. So our next VidaLive is going to be happening on Tuesday, December 7th, and it will be taking place at 3 p.m. Guatemala time. So I would say same time, but we're going to have a time change here soon. So 3 p.m. Guatemala time on December 7th. And that one's really going to be talking about poverty and building a brighter future. So we're going to hear from one of our school principals, Evelyn. And Evelyn worked as a translator for some of the teams in the past. So some of you may remember her, but just mark it on your calendars, Tuesday, December 7th. And so we're officially going to record or end the recording in a few seconds. And if you have to leave, please feel free. But if you would like to stay on and hang out for a little bit, we're going to allow you guys to unmute yourself and ask some more questions. And we'll continue the conversation for another 15 or 20 minutes. So again, thank you so much for joining for our VidaLive event. And we hope that you'll join us next time. And again, thank you, Julie and Julio.